Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gabriel with another Fan TV. Back action of the video. Like the content of this video, go and smash that like button. Like the content of this channel, go and subscribe, man. Look, so the Ravens lose 24-19 to the Philadelphia Eagles in a game that's very, very disappointing on the offensive side of the ball for the Ravens. We're gonna get into all of that, right? So, first to the Eagles fans, if anybody watches this video, good game. We're gonna talk about what the Ravens did wrong, obviously, but the Eagles, very, very tough defensive line, great run game. Jalen Hurts didn't make any mistakes really tonight. He did his thing, right? So shout out to Eagles fan, to the Eagles. Good W. They're one of the better teams in the NFC. We obviously know that, them in Detroit, right? So a good W for them. And that's now, I believe, 8 straight games for them. So they're on an incredible winning streak. So good for them, right? All right. Now for the Ravens side of the ball, right? I'll talk about one guy, I guess, for a standout performer on offense, and that's just I thought Mark Andrews was really good tonight, right? Mark Andrews, he tied the record for most touchdowns in franchise history now with 47. He's tied with Jamal Lewis, right? Mark Andrews had 6 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown. He was always there. It seemed like when Lamar Jackson needed a play to be made, right? He could rely on Mark Andrews, right? Defense. Like I said, this game is really about the special teams and the offense. But defense, I want to give a big shout out to defense, right? The defense did a really, really good job today, right? Eventually, the dam is going to break, and a good offense that the Eagles are going to break through, right? It was only going to be so many times that the Ravens defense was going to hold the Eagles to that 14 points, right? They did it for most of the second half. There was large parts of the first half that the Eagles had no points, right? They scored at 14 in a bunch, right? So Chris Board is elevating his play at linebacker. Darius Washington is fine all over the field. I'm glad that Kyle Hamilton is okay. There were a couple of injuries in this game. So, Kyle Hamilton had a concussion, or he was checked for a concussion. He was cleared, came back. Sanusi Kane out with a hamstring, and Rashad Bateman out with a knee injury, right? So those are the injuries for the game. But as far as the defense goes, right, I felt really good about them overall, right? Now, there's a lot of plays where like A.J. Brown hitting on slants and across the middle, things like that, where they high load the Ravens a lot. But besides that, did pretty good, right? Saquon was bottled up for a large majority of the game. He gets a couple of his big runs because he's a great running back. He's going to get those, right? But for the most part, I felt good about how the D line pressured Hurts. They got to him a couple times. I felt good about how the defense played, right? Especially early in the game. Zach Orr was tying up these blitzes for Marlon Humphrey. He sent them twice. Marlon Humphrey gets there one time. It might even be a half sack between him and Roquan because they both got there pretty much at the same time. Early on, and even pretty much most of the third quarter, early fourth, this Ravens defense did enough to win this game, right? So shout out to the Ravens defense. Okay, now the offense slash special teams because we got to throw Tucker in there. Okay, let's start with Justin Tucker, right? Justin Tucker, the Ravens lose this game by 5 points. Justin Tucker cost the Ravens 7. Okay, one missed extra point, 2 missed field goals. This game should have been a 26-24 W. I mean, obviously, maybe it doesn't go like that. The Ravens, maybe they don't score the last touchdown, whatever. But if we just going to keep it simple and clean with the facts, he misses 2 field goals and an extra point. That's 7 points, right? That's off the board that the Ravens don't get to count. All right. And even if you don't want to count it like that, if he makes those field goals earlier in the game, the Ravens still keep the momentum of the game and how they were rolling, right? Because earlier in the game, the Ravens were rolling on the Eagles, right? Like this could have got bad, right? But those missed field goals kind of gave them momentum on the back in the game, right? One, I believe it was one in the first half, one in the second half, right? So the Ravens have a serious discussion what they need to do with Justin Tucker, all right? We're at that point because this kind of things will lose them a playoff game, right? Point blank guarantee this will lose them a playoff game. They keep going down this road. So they have a bye week. I'm at the point where very, very serious consideration needs to be had where the Ravens need to have open tryouts at kicker. All right. You get professionals out there that because there are a lot of professional kickers that are in free agency. There always is. When a kicker goes down, you find somebody else that could come in there. The Ravens need to have a couple of guys come in over this bye week and see where they're at in their kicking process, right? Because something is very clearly not right with Justin Tucker. I'm not hearing about the snapper. I'm not hearing it about the holder. Okay, the distance is there. He's missing. He's missed the left. Now he's overcorrecting. Now he's missing it right. All right. There's something mentally going on with Justin Tucker because the physical part is still there. All right. He's kicking it far enough, right? I would almost accept it better if they were just missing short, right? Because then we're like, oh, well, he's older, leg is gone. The leg looks fine, right? The distance is still there. He's just not making the kicks. And whatever the issue is, the Ravens don't have time for him to figure it out, all right? You could say that Justin Tucker has cost the Ravens at least 3 games this year, okay? The Raiders, the Browns, and this one, all right? So you can realistically say that, okay? When you come to this point where he's already cost you multiple games this year, what makes the playoffs any different? He's going to cost you games in the playoffs too. All right, we love Justin Tucker. He's a Ravens legend. He's an NFL legend. But it looks like the slide has come for him. It was coming for him last year, but this year it's full on taking him. Right? The Ravens need to find a solution at kicker. Point blank period. Okay. Now offense. Right. We'll talk about the offense, I guess, in different levels. Okay. Start with the O-line. Every time the Ravens play against a good physical defensive line, they get dominated. This game was no different. Okay, Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, all of these guys dominated the Ravens O-line. Lamar Jackson had to make play after play just to escape out the pocket, just so he could see what was down the field. All right, when this Ravens O-line, especially on the interior, is not very good. Tyler Linderbaum is fine, but he needs help from his guards. Okay. They're getting whooped in the middle, right? Falele is missing blocks on run plays that could have been big plays. McCary should never have been a full-time starter, okay? I get that John Harbaugh kept him in there because the Ravens started to play well. You don't want to mess with the rhythm. He should not be a full-time starter. He's a swing guy. He's always been a swing guy. That's what he is, right? That's what y'all paid him to be. When somebody goes down, he fills in for a couple weeks. When they come back, he goes back to the bench. That's what McCary should be, all right? Stanley was getting beat this game. Rosengarten was getting beat this game. So I'm not just going to say it was just the interior only, right? There was pressure on the edge as well. So Jalen Carter is a great player. Eagles have a really good defensive line. We talked about them before, right? So to me, the Ravens, and also we're going to talk about the next part, which is the offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. The Ravens don't do a good job of playing to their strengths. Your offensive line is not a strength of yours. So this straight drop back out of shotgun is not what the Ravens should be doing. Too many times the Ravens overcomplicate the offense, right? The Ravens offense, the core of the Ravens offense should be heavy personnel, whether that's Patrick McCall on the field, whether that's a regular 2 tight end set with likely in Andrews, especially now that Kolar is out. And you should be running the ball under center, whether that's zone runs to the left or to the right or straight up the gut. And it should be play action behind that. When you got your crossers going with Zay, Bate, even though Bateman got hurt this game, that's what should be happening. But too many times they get too cute and they're in shotgun, right? For no apparent reason, when that's not what this offense should be built around. This offense is a power offense that should be built around being under center, getting the ball 4 or 5 yards at a time, setting up prime play action opportunities to take bigger shots down the field. That's what the Ravens offense should be, but too many times they make it too complicated. All right. And that's on the offensive coordinator. All right. There was one time where the Ravens are running the ball well, right? Second half, they go in the center, play action. They don't complete the pass downfield to Zay Flowers. I believe it was on first down. It's 2nd and 10. They go right to shotgun. You can stay under center, right? When you go to the shotgun, you limit the kind of runs that you can do, especially if you're not going to run a true read option with Lamar Jackson having the possibility to take the ball on the edge. Because that's been completely eliminated from the offense. We're not even seeing that anymore. All right. So running out of shotgun is damn near pointless for how the Ravens are playing. Okay. So that's the O-line. That's the coordinator. The wide receivers, right? And this is something that goes along with coaching as well. Okay. Zay Flowers, he did his thing today, right? I think he had 3 catches for like 78 yards, something like that. Should have been more involved. We'll look at the tape, see if he was open or not, right? Like a lot of times there were people clinging on to him. He's a smaller guy. He struggles with that. Gotta be honest, okay? But this coaching staff's reliance on Nelson Agholor is a major deterrent to the passing game. Nelson Agholor, he gets open. He cannot make tough catches, all right? He cannot make any kind of contested catch. He might even drop an open ball, right? They finally played Tylan Wallace more because Rashad Bateman went out with an injury, but then they left Diontae Johnson on the bench. So why would you trade for Diontae Johnson if when Rashad Bateman goes down, which was the whole point of getting Diontae Johnson as a break glass in case of emergency, this is the emergency. Rashad Bateman was out. They ruled him out in the 2nd quarter. I'm not sure Diontae Johnson played a snap today. If he did, it was 1 or 2. So That's the kind of stuff that's frustrating because why do you trade for a guy whose skills the Ravens need out there, right? Make a good catch, get open, deal with physical corners, and don't use them. That's frustrating, right? Deontay Johnson, I'm not saying he would have swung this entire game, but if he can't play in this game, then he's damn sure not going to play in the playoffs, right? Because this is the situation. Rashad Bateman goes down. The Ravens need to throw the football. All the things are pointing to, hey, look, this guy that we traded for, let's get him in the game. And the Ravens don't do that. So that's very confusing as well. Okay. Then I want to talk about Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar Jackson has a lot of weight on his shoulders, a lot of pressure to do things right for the Ravens for this team to be successful, right? Like a lot of great quarterbacks do, right? I think Lamar Jackson had a solid game today, right? I do. People are gonna say he missed likely. He did not miss likely. Okay, him and likely had a miscommunication. Likely is supposed to angle that up the field. He angled it flatter. Lamar Jackson threw it like he was going up the field, right? So that to me that wasn't a miss. And honestly, when that play happened, you kind of felt the momentum of the game change when that happened, right? So to me, that wasn't a miss. Now, the Zay Flowers rollout when the Ravens were backed up at like their own 10, that was a miss. That was probably one of the worst throws you're going to see Lamar make, right? He just flat out short hopped it at Zay Flowers' ankles, right? I don't know what that was about, okay? He looked like he never got the snap properly, short hopped it, okay? That's not really my issue throwing the football, right? Lamar Jackson to get that corrected. He threw the ball really fine today. Had a lot of nice passes over the middle, whether it was to Zay high pointing it to Mark Andrews, a couple of nice ones over the middle. He threw the ball fine to me, right? I don't really care about that. My issue with Lamar has been an issue for this entire season so far is that outside of the Chiefs game, his reluctance to run is becoming a detriment to the offense, right? And listen, I'm not telling you that Lamar Jackson had wide open gaps to get 20 yards every time he takes off. I'm not telling you that, right? Because that would be stupid. What I'm telling you is that when these running play when these passing plays are dead, there is a chance for Lamar to get 4 or 5 yards to make it 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, right? Instead of trying to make the Houdini play, right? It's a gift and a curse right now. The play he breaks out to Zay Flowers, I get that. Zay Flowers is wide open down the field, make the play. But there was one, right, where he actually got caught. He actually took off this time, right? He gets called 4th and short because for some reason he tries to hurdle him and he just cuts back. He gets the first down. That was second half. All right. But he holds the ball, pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it. Just go. If he pumps one time, goes, it's an easy first down, right? But he's waiting, 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 waiting. Just go, right? What he did versus the Chiefs in the very first game of the season, right? It looked kind of sporadic, like he was kind of hopping around, one read and go. Now, I'm not telling you that DeMar Jackson needs to do that, right? He doesn't need to do that, right? He doesn't need to one read, I'm going to take off. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is there are open opportunities for him to scramble to gain a couple yards to keep the offense ahead of the sticks, and he's not taking it right now. Now, I'm on the belief that he's saving his body for the playoffs and things like that, but the Ravens are 8-5, right? I have full faith the Ravens are going to get in the playoffs. They'll probably finish this season 11-6, 12-5, right? I have full confidence that they'll get in the playoffs. So I'm not worried about that part of it. I am worried about the fact of just waiting for the playoffs, right? Because this kind of needs to happen now, right? Like I said, the Ravens will get in, but for them to get in, they need Lamar Jackson to do his part and take off sometimes, right? This game was not on him solely by any means necessary, right? There was a lot that went into this Ravens offense, completely short circuiting, right? A lot of it probably starts with things that are above Lamar Jackson's head, right? But control what you can control, and what you can control is taking off when there's opportunities there, right? On the last drive of the game, that didn't matter. He takes off, goes for 40 yards, right? That speed is still there, things like that, right? That's a different situation they was playing prevent. But my point being is that when the opportunity to take off is even there for a little bit, he has to take it, right? Lamar Jackson is good at protecting himself. He knows how to get down. I don't have any fear for him getting hit like how Trevor Lawrence got hit today, you know? I mean, that was a dirty play on Trevor Lawrence, but still, I don't have any fear for Lamar Jackson getting hit like that because he knows how to protect himself. So for the Ravens, a lot of things went wrong today on offense, right? Pretty much, I would say you could point at every facet of the offense for something that went wrong. Because, like, we're in a position again where the Ravens are in a one-score game for the majority of this game, right? Until the Eagles make it 21-12 late in the fourth quarter. This is a one-score game the entire game. And for some reason, the Ravens don't stay under center and don't keep running the football, right? it's a part of DNA. Like, just shotgun for no reason, just throwing the ball for no reason when you can grind it out, right? The Ravens don't really know how to grind out games, right? So when they play against physical teams that are going to keep the game close, and just say, hey, who's going to make the most mistakes in the end? Unfortunately, the Ravens are going to be the team that make the most mistakes in the end, whether that's on offense or defense at this point, right? So, um, disappointing game, right? Disappointing game. A game that the Ravens, like I don't take anything from the Eagles, right? Eagles played a good game, but this is a game today that the Ravens really should have won, right? This feels like one of those playoff games that we talked about for the last several years where um, they just beat themselves and beat themselves and beat themselves until there's no more game left, right? Um, so the kind of mistakes, the kind of miscues the Ravens had, the drops, the penalties, or even the penalties wasn't really a large part today, but some couple of drop passes, just some miscues on offense, Tucker missing the field goals. It's way too much to have to beat a really good team and beat yourself, right? Like you're doing both, right? So that's difficult, right? At the end. So for the Ravens in this game, um, they dropped to 8-5. The Ravens aren't going to win the division. It looks like if they're going to get in, it's going to be the wild card, and I think they'll do that just fine, right? So we'll see where the season ends up from here. Next week is the bye week, so yeah, no Ravens football, man. So we'll talk about what they can do to change it, and we'll see if they make those changes coming out the bye when they face the Giants, right? But that's my thoughts on the game. Obviously, give me your thoughts on the game. I'm Pod Comments, man. It's Gabriel, Fan TV. I'm out.